We're still endeavoring to join a circle or close a link. To that end, there's a reminder of a story about that king who was heavily laden down by the responsibilities and duties of his kingdom. And after a hard day listening to grievances and taking care of the affairs of state, his only solace was to go into his aviary that was filled with birds of every color: yellow, blue, purple, green. And he'd allow the birds to alight on his shoulders or his head, and listening to their trilling, and there would be some comfort for him. But one day he had a visitor to his realm who told him of a bird living in the tallest tree in the forest that was the color of a rainbow, and sang to rival even the finest of nightingales. So this king wanted that bird. So he set out along the path into the forest, taking with him the accoutrements that he used to catch his birds. And then he heard the most magnificent sound. And when he looked up, there at the top of the tallest tree was the most beautiful bird he'd ever seen. The colors of its plumage, all the colors of the rainbow. So the king took out his lasso that he was a master at using, and making a loop, he swung it around and flung it up into the tree. But just as the noose was about to go over the bird's head, it stepped the other way. So the noose fell down and hit the king on the head, rather painfully. So that not working, the king got out his net on a long, long pole, and he lifted it up to reach the bird at the top of the tree. But just as the net was about to go over the head of the bird, it stepped to one side again, and again the whole pole came down and hit the king on the head, rather painfully. So in desperation the king took out his last possibility, which was a ladder, and he unwound the ladder up until, climbing up the ladder, he was face to face with the bird. But just as he was about to grasp it, it stepped away, and the ladder came crashing down, bringing the king with it. So, nursing his wounds and his painful abrasions on his head, and having no other implements with which he could catch the bird, he sat down at the bottom of the tree and began to weep in anger and frustration. So, just while this was happening, a troop of entertainers came walking down the path, and they asked the king what was it that he was weeping and wailing about. And he told them the story about he was wanting to catch this bird at the top of the tree, this rainbow bird, trilling in a way that he'd never heard before. "Oh," said the troop, "we can do that. We're acrobats and magicians and entertainers. We're called the Pastor Brothers. So with that, the biggest and heftiest amongst them, who was called Lasagna, he steadied himself at the bottom of the tree, and his brother Ravioli got on his shoulders, and then Spaghetti got on his shoulders, and then Cannelloni got on his shoulders, and then Fettuccine got onto his shoulders, and lastly the littlest fellow, Pen, got right up to the top and was face to face with the bird. Well, he was just about to reach out and grab it when a feather went floating down and landed on Lasagna's nose, who was totally allergic to birds. And all his brothers said, "No, Lasagna, no!" Just as he goes, "Choo!" And they all came tumbling down. Well, the king, seeing this, rolled on his back with laughter. He was rolling on the ground, as were all the brothers, laughing. Well, all of a sudden, the rainbow bird came down from the tree and landed on the king's shoulders. And as he was laughing and turned around and seeing the bird there with great surprise, he said, "Oh, you're here! I've been trying to catch you." And the rainbow bird said, "Oh, you'll never catch me, but I'm here." And so the king said, "Oh, would you come back to my palace and join my aviary?" "Oh," said the rainbow bird, "I'd be very happy to do that since you invite me." So the pastor group went on their way, and the king went back to the palace with his rainbow bird, which happily went to stay in his aviary. And you know, every day, the king, after a hard day of listening to the grievances and taking care of the affairs of his kingdom, would go into his aviary, careworn. The rainbow bird would rest on his shoulders and whisper in his ear, "Remember when Lasagna sneezed and all the pastor brothers fell to the ground?" And they would laugh together hilariously, and all the cares and woes would leave the king's shoulders. So remembering that all elements of all stories are aspects of our self, our psyche, our being. What is it for you that the rainbow bird would represent? What is it in our being that is our rainbow bird? Its song sweeter than the sound of any nightingale. Its colors of all hues. Not to be found, not to be captured. Out there. But here I am. happy to be in this mortal form, the aviary of life. What is this rainbow bird for us?
The divine spirit, I suppose.
Yes, you can give it that name. Mm-hmm.
Or a soul.
Uh-huh.
Happiness.
Pardon?
And happiness.
Our happiness, yes, it certainly brings that.
The spirit comes to us unbidden, and we can actually capture all of it.
No. And yet that's been our quest, isn't it? Our endeavor. That's what's motivated us to find that bird.
I like the Foster Brothers.
And they have their place too when we look at it, isn't it? Because we can ask, what does that laughter represent?
All these things going wrong when we're trying so hard to achieve them.
Yes, yes,
For me anyway.
yes. Well, it's often called the cosmic joke, isn't it?
Divine comedy.
Yes, the divine comedy. We have those names for it, don't we?
This image of past decline.
Yes,
So inflexible.
yes. But we certainly know it, don't we? So it is this aviary that we can go to. What is it that's been your solace, comfort, haven, respite?
Any human endeavor to breathe spirit, it always involves creating a form.
Aha.
Or you just lay a cage that holds it, but actually the thing itself is not
I know.
cannot be structured.
No, no, no. And yet those birds of many colors have been like the mantras, the affirmations, the methodologies that we've used of maybe meditation over the years, isn't it? And they have, resting in our head, resting on our shoulders, and so forth. So we can very easily relate metaphorically to the elements of it.
In the right people right now. All I suppose.
Yes, right, exactly. We are.
And the music is your stories.
Hmm?
The music is your stories.
Uh-huh. So we know it, isn't it? So what is it that brings the circle around for us, do you think? What is it that joins it for us? relative to these aspects as they are in this story? What's the unifying, what's the nexus point of this story?
Now, being in the moment.
Right on. Bravo. Bravo. Being in the moment. I'm here. Isn't it? I'm here. Being in the moment is the point where it joins for us. Thank you, thank you.